In addition to this, we cannot fully consider the fullness of God's timing until we also look at that which is still to come. There's a date still written in God's date book that is yet to come. It's almost like God takes his journal. You get this picture of God using his little black notebook, his calendar of events, and he's writing history. And it's already been written. It's there. But God, as we go through time, is kind of retracing his letters about all that's going on. Knowing that somewhere near the bottom of the page, or maybe on the next page, possibly in the very next chapter, there's a date written that has not been fulfilled. And it's the date of a future event that's just around the corner. In fact, it is so close that it may come before we actually reach our traditional December 25th Christmas holiday. There's a date written in God's calendar that may come before we celebrate Christmas. Schaeffer says everything that changed when Jesus entered our world. The power of sin would soon be broken, and Satan's plans would be crushed. God's grace has been born into our world, a power so great nothing could prevail against it. The spiritual axes of the world had shifted violently, and the effect could not have been more profound if the earth's physical axis had shifted. Today, the sinful momentum of our world continues, making everything seem as it was before Jesus came. But a new kingdom has been established, and by faith we live in the long shadow of that promise. J.B. Phillips said nothing can alter the fact that we live on a visited planet. And in light of this, he says we are to reflect with confidence that my God has been here. He's been here on this planet. When I had the opportunity to go to Israel on 2 occasions, nothing really, the thought that was most prevalent on my mind was the fact that I was walking the very soil that Jesus walked. I was in the very location that he was. When I was on the Sea of Galilee and we were going across that by boat, I was thinking, where on this sea did Jesus stop the storm? Where did he come walking to the disciples? Where did he launch on shore to rebuke the demons from this Gadarene demoniac? The whole concept was that Jesus had walked this earth and had come to a place where now I was walking. We got to come to the place where we recognize that Jesus, God, did visit this planet. He came here. He walked where we walked. And in light of this, we're to walk with this confidence that says Jesus walked here. And we're encouraged to take into account that God walked this earth, fingered the leaves on the trees, quenched his parched throat with cool water. He watched the sun rise and he watched it set, and he followed the moon across the night sky. And we have to understand that when God's experiment with humankind is over, Christ will come again. And for those of us who are the redeemed, it will be an everlasting, overwhelming act of joy. We stand back and we celebrate Christmas. Oh, that Jesus came. What a glorious day. And it is. It was. But there's another day coming. Another glorious day that's going to be full of overwhelming joy. I get this picture in my mind as I think about that Jesus returning and capturing us away in the rapture, and as we're caught up, the joy, that's an excitement that we're going to have in our very being, the very spirit, that as we're going, we're crying out, hallelujah! Maybe somebody's a little ahead of the other. We're like, whoa, what a ride! That kind of thing. It's just going to be an awesome experience, when God comes back and get us, and we're raptured off to this church. And if it's, whatever it may be, it's just going to be an act of joy when we all of a sudden are translated from this earth into the heavenlies to live and be with Jesus forever. That's an awesome thought, isn't it? It's going to be awesome. Come knocking on my pad, will you? Say, let me take a look at your mansion. Be awesome. The truth is, it appears like God has placed in every believer a heavenly homesickness. You ever been any place where you've gone away for a vacation or whatever it is, kind of somewhat of an extended period of time, And you just think, all I want to do is go home. I just want to go home, sleep in my own bed. As much as it's been great fun, you've been with great people, you just want to go home. You ever been there? Well, that is true also in our spiritual lives as well.
Yes.
There's a sense that God has placed in us a desire, a heavenly homesickness, just a desire to go to heaven. And when God put it there, when He put it in our hearts, I'm not so sure, but there's something within us that knows that this earth is not our final home. That this is just a resting place as we travel to our eternal home. That this is kind of just a place where we abide until Jesus takes us home. And the whole thought process, we hold to the promise of Jesus where He said He was going to prepare a place for us. And when it was ready, He'd come and take us to live with Him for all of eternity. That He was going to prepare a place, and when it was finished, He'd come and get us and take us to be with Him. And so what we are waiting for is the fullness of time to be completed. We're waiting for the time to fully come. There's a motel chain out there. All of you will recognize it when I tell the story. But it talks about their great services, and they said, just so you know, when you come, we'll leave the light on for you. The whole concept of Christmas is really a celebration, and it's a way of keeping the lights on. It says, Jesus, we are waiting, anticipating your coming. It reminds us that Jesus came as the light of the world and that He will come just as He promised. See, lights are a symbol of hope. And the light of Jesus is the greatest symbol of hope. And Christmas is one of those ways we keep the lights on, anticipating God's return. And the only thing holding it back from happening is God in the heavens, awaiting the fullness of time, His perfect calculated minute when we shall be translated into His glory and shall live forevermore. There's coming a moment when God is going to say, the time is here. Jesus, go get the church. There's going to be a time when God says, Jesus, the time is now. Go get my redeemed. And at that point in time, when the time had fully come, we're out of here, church. We're gone. Don't be looking for me. Go to the Christmas party alone. The first Christmas was a surprise for many. In one sense, they were awaiting a Messiah. In another sense, they missed Him. They missed Jesus' visitation. They awaited the promised Messiah, but when He came, they missed Him. How does that happen? They weren't ready. The very promised one, the one God was going to send, the one they were looking for, they missed the promise. And they missed it due to unbelief or preconceived ideas. Certainly the Messiah wouldn't come like this. Certainly the Messiah wouldn't come as a babe in a manger, born among the stench of a stable. That's not Messiah. That's not the King of Glory. So whether it was unbelief or preconceived ideas, or whether it was just busyness, and how many know you get busy during times of seasons like this, or because they closed their spiritual eyes, because they chose spiritual blindness over the light that came to open their eyes. One reason or another, they missed it. But make no mistake about it. There is another promise coming. And when He comes, He will wait for no man or woman. And we must be ready.